Who are the hot teams in the Major League Baseball season heading into the playoffs? Stephen Hughes is on tap and set to join us next on the National Sports Radio station from Los Angeles, California.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Steven's All-Out Baseball Show here on the National Sports Radio station here on Spreaker.com. I'm your host, Stephen Hughes. Later throughout the show, we'll have other guests from the National Sports Radio station crew come on to the show and express their opinions throughout all of baseball, including the Ballot investigation, the formal appeal of Alex Rodriguez, and what he has to say about formally appealing and being able to play, since his appeal might last to the off season, letting A-Rod play the last 50 games of the regular season and possibly the postseason if the Yankees make it. Also, some vandalism from a trademark statue in Brooklyn, New York. How the impact that's hit the community in Brooklyn for an icon of baseball in breaking the color barrier. Also, we'll go to Detroit, where we have two pieces of news over there in Motown, where Jim Leland is disappointed in his band shortstop, and the Tigers have part ways once again with their struggling closer. All this and more on Steven's All-Out Baseball Show here on Spreaker.com in affiliation with the National Sports Radio station. Hit it!
È strano se sfiorandomi riemergerai dal buio. Riposa un po', mia cara Bea, il tuo regno sai non brilla più. È strano se la nullità si prenderà il gioco di noi.
Hello, welcome back, folks. Steven's All-Out Baseball Show is officially starting right now. Pretty much everything is going to be covered today. This is going to be my last show of the summer. As after this show, I'll be taking a pretty good amount of time off, and I'll just be filling in as a guest on multiple shows on the National Sports. I need some time to myself with my baseball, my school, as it's going to be starting soon, very soon. That's just for me, and I need some time off in that fact. So let's go straight to some scoring alerts. Bottom of the fifth, the Dodgers are whooping on the Cardinals. This game is on ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. Dodgers 7, Cardinals 0 in the bottom of the fifth. 4-4 is a tie game in the bottom ninth at Progressive Field. The Tigers and the Indians are tied. Indians are trying to get back to the Tigers, trying to get back the lead possibly in the American League Central. The Yankees and the Sox, the Bronx Bombers, with the lead 4-1 after 6.5 innings. White Sox really held off the offensive impact, as they've only had 1 run and 2 hits throughout the entire game. Let's go to the nation's capital. After 8.5 innings, it is 6-3. The Braves have the lead over the Nationals. The Braves are the only team in the National League East with a winning record. I'll get to that at the end of the show, to the standings outlook. Cubs and Phillies 5-2, top of the ninth. Cubs obviously they're not going to make the playoffs again, but They're being a formidable, good team in the Phillies. Twins and Royals 4-2. The Royals are winning at home in the top of the sixth. In the bottom of the eighth, it is a 3-2 lead for the Pirates against the Marlins in the bottom of the eighth over there at PNC. Top of the sixth, after a shootout yesterday with runs galore, the Red Sox and the Astros are tied 2-2 in the top of the sixth. Bases loaded for Jacoby Ellsbury up to the plate for the Red Sox. There's one out. Maybe something could be going over there. Pirates just scored a run. It's 4-2 now. Bottom of the first, 3-1. The Rays have the lead over the Diamondbacks. Top of the first, this game just started, 0-0. Rangers and Angels. Let's go to some finals as of right now. Reds and A's, 6-5. That was the first game of the day. Reds doing great, getting a home run by their power hitter in Jay Bruce. There's a final in Seattle. The Mariners beat the Blue Jays 9-7. Edwin Encarnacion and Adam Lim with home runs for Toronto, but that does not help them in winning against the Mariners. And lastly, Orioles with a win in San Diego, 10-3 against the Padres. Chris Diaz hits his major league leading 41st home run of the year over the Padres. I'll give you updates and more about that. Let's go to some news. This just recently, Chase Utley will be staying in those red pinstripes. Utley and the Phillies have agreed to a contract extension that could keep the five-time All-Star second baseman in Philadelphia through at least the 2015 season, sources confirmed on Wednesday. The deal is worth $27 million for 2 seasons with multiple vesting options. Utley has battled knee injuries in the past, but that hasn't been a problem this year. He missed a month with an oblique injury. This is what GM Ruben Amaro Jr. said last week about Utley's status as the season goes on into the offseason. You know, the Phillies not in the playoff race. This is what the GM says. We like to keep the man on our pinstripes, end quote. Before the All-Star break, Utley said, quote, "I've never envisioned wearing another team's uniform," end quote. Utley, who's turning 35 in December, will be a free agent after the season. He is in the last year of an $85 million contract he signed in 2007. He's now signed to the 2015 year. Utley was in the starting lineup against the Cubs on Wednesday, but drove in the tying run with a pinch hit single in the seventh. Utley then knocked over catcher Dion Navarro in a violent collision trying to score from second base on a single. Navarro held onto the ball and Utley was out. Navarro was carted off the field, though, with a left leg injury. Utley is batting .277 this year with 15 home runs, 43 RBIs in 84 games entering Wednesday. He hasn't played more than 115 games in the season since 2009 because of a chronic knee problem. Between 2005 and 2009, where the Phillies went to the World Series twice, winning one, Utley averaged a .301 batting average with 29 home runs, 101 RBIs. He hasn't hit more than 16 home runs or driven more than 65 runs since 2010. Veteran catchers, though, Carlos Ruiz and former ace Roy Halladay also are in the final years of their contracts, and GM Ruben Amaro Jr. has stated interest in keeping both of them. So the chemistry is big on the mind of Ruben Amaro Jr. over there in the city of brotherly love. He wants to keep everybody there, still have a formidable team to possibly go after it next year, maybe have a good hit on the market, on the free agent market during the offseason that could possibly help them out. Let's go to some news about the Biogenesis situation. And Major League Baseball is now going to social media. Facebook friends, transcripts of BlackBerry instant messages, records of text. MLB investigators use an arsenal of high-tech tools to collect the evidence that persuaded a dozen players to accept 50-game suspensions this week for their ties to the Biogenesis clinic. When it came a time to meet with the Players Association, the investigators flashed some of their documentary proof. While there was not enough time for the union to thoroughly examine what Major League Baseball had collected, there was little doubt that there was an electronic trail, one of the people familiar with the meeting said. The person spoke on condition of anonymity because no public statements were authorized. This is what the anonymous person said. Quote, "It both complicates things and adds a layer of proof that certainly wasn't available many years ago." Alex Rodriguez, the lone holdout against the suspension, faces an arbitration hearing in the coming months that will likely include such evidence. The Yankees' third baseman was suspended for 211 games from Thursday through the 2014 season. though he is allowed to play until the decision is issued by arbitrator Frederick Horowitz, which is now expected until at least November. Until now, nearly all suspensions under Major League Baseball's drug program resulted from positive drug tests. The biogenesis probe relieved players were using performance-enhancing drugs without detection. So, pretty much, I don't know why Alex Rodriguez is, arguing about this. I think that he needs to give up, and he needs to come clean. And I actually want to say something here. I have 4 pieces of news in one subject about the biogenesis thing. Pete Rose, who is, who has given a life ban to baseball for his actions with gambling at the game. He says everyone else suspended for their roles in the biogenesis scandal should come clean. I wish I had come forward for a long time ago. Some guys came forward like Giambi and Pettit and they went on with their lives. They're playing and they're making good money, and there's no shout out upon them right now. And quote, that's what Pete Rose said. Pete Rose, the all-time leader with 4,256 hits in his career, has been banned from baseball since 1989 after it was learned he bet on the sport while serving as a manager for the Cincinnati Reds. The 17-time All-Star said he hopes A-Rod has a good ending of the season, and he doesn't understand why people are upset with the Yankees slugger for playing during his appeal. While details of the investigation's findings have not been released, the Yankees have said they expected Rodriguez to be accused of recruiting other athletes for the clinic, attempting to obstruct Major League Baseball's investigation, and not being truthful with Major League Baseball in the past when he discussed his relationship with Dr. Anthony Galea, who pleaded guilty 2 years ago to a federal charge of bringing unapproved drugs into the United States from Canada. For Ryan Braun, only 50 games for his 65-game suspension were connected to the biogenesis investigation. The additional 15 stemmed from Braun's actions during a grievance that overturned his positive test from October 2011, and he wasn't suspended for any games. Rose also came to the defense of suspended players Nelson Cruz of the Rangers and John Peralta of the Tigers, saying that they should be allowed to play in the postseason if their 50-game suspension is up and their teams make the playoffs. And for me, the Rangers will not make the playoffs, mainly because they do not have a good enough team without Nelson Cruz, without Josh Hamilton. And I know I'm talking about Josh Hamilton in the past because he's an Angel right now, but I feel like there is no way, shape, or form he could possibly. I'm talking about Nelson Cruz. There's no way, shape, or form when he comes back in 2 games that they'll still have a possibility of making it to the playoffs. The Rangers don't have a good enough team like that. Sure, they got a good addition of Matt Garza in the trade deadline from Chicago, and I think that the pitching is really good. They got Yu Darvish, great pitcher. They got Matt Garza, and they got a few other good guys. The hitting, now they have to rely a lot of it on Adrian Beltre. Adrian Beltre, he is going to be the guy that everybody's going to be, looking forward to, be the offensive producer in the Texas Ranger lineup. And I think that he's not going to be able to do that and, fulfill his, you could say destiny that's the case, but, things, need to happen, and I don't think that's going to be the case. Let's go to Alex Rodriguez quickly for 2 pieces. Throughout everything from the performance-enhancing drug suspension to the hip surgeries and late-season struggles at the plate last year, there's been plenty of questions about how the Yankees can expect to benefit from having A-Rod back in their lineup. He was on their lineup yesterday and 2 days ago, 2 for 6 or something like that, 2 for 8. Whatever the gain is, GM Brian Cashman is expecting the Yankees lineup with Rodriguez to be better than it was without him. This is what Cashman said. Quote, I think if he's healthy, he's definitely going to be, by far, better than what we've been running out there. He hasn't been an MVP-type player for a while, but he has been an above-average player at that position. And obviously, we've been below average at that position all year. So it'd be nice if we could get at least that. I don't know. But I know he'll be better than what we've been running. out there, end quote. A-Rod wasn't playing that position, third base, on Tuesday during a 3-2 loss to the White Sox. Instead, slotting in the number 3 spot in the Yankees order as a DH. In his first game back on Monday, Rodriguez hit cleanup and played third. Joe Girardi said he intends to use A-Rod at third base more than as a DH. Before the 3-time AL MVP was activated from the DL on Monday, the Yankees' third basemen this year had combined for 4 home runs, 32 RBIs, a .215 batting average, and a .557 slugging percentage. All 4 of those numbers in those respective categories are in the bottom 3 in the bottom threshold in the league. In home runs, that's 29th. RBI is 30th. RBIs, that's last in the league. .215 batting average is 29th. And slugging percentage is last as well. Rodriguez is 2 for 6 in his first 2 games with a strikeout. I stand corrected. He may not be expecting MVP numbers of himself, but he expects to hit better. And he did late last season when he batted 261 in September and October, and was eventually benched in the playoffs. A-Rod was 3 for 25 with 12 strikeouts in 7 postseason games against the Orioles and the Tigers. On Monday, the 14-time All-Star received a suspension through the 2014 season in violations of the Joint Drug Prevention and Treatment Program and Basic Agreement due to his ties to the Anti-Aging Biogenetics Clinic in South Florida. Cashman said the Yankees will operate under the assumption that they'll have Rodriguez for the remainder of the season as his appeals goes to arbitration and to arbitrator Frederick Horowitz. The GM said he's taking the possible suspension into consideration when scouting the secondary market to help the Yankees down the stretch, but he needed to wait until after Monday to see where some chips may fall. Cashman said of the secondary market, quote, "We'll be looking into that. I certainly wasn't sure what was going to happen. We had to get through yesterday because obviously there's always a domino effect. Are you going to have Alex? Are you not going to have Alex? That certainly affects what your needs are and what you're looking for, and should you stop looking? But we'll continue to see what's available. I don't know if anything's going to be there for us or not." End quote. And then lastly, something to point out, this is coming from Major League Baseball's Players Association. It's a shame because of the MLBPA's executive director, Michael Weiner, said that if Major League Baseball had offered A-Rod a certain number of games in suspension, Weiner would advise A-Rod to take it. This is what Weiner said, quote, "I don't want to get a given number, but there is a number that I gave A-Rod and we advised him to take it. He was never given that number," end quote. This is when Chris Russo, the host of Sirius XM's Mad Dog Radio, followed up by suggesting that it would be an admission that A-Rod took steroids. Weiner replied, quote, "It's a question of evidence and, each player has to make his own decision as to whether he used it or not. Based on the evidence that we saw, we made a recommendation. The commissioner's office didn't meet it. They were much higher, and therefore we are at a hearing." Rodriguez, who was in the lineup on Tuesday, is appealing his 211-game suspension. It's a problem. A-Rod, I feel bad for A-Rod. He was the shining star on the beginning of everything. The shining star, the bright young shining star of the steroid era. And that no one thought he took it. No one thought he took it. And it's a shame that that was the case. And in 2009, he admitted that he took PEDs in his early days. That same year, he wins his first World Series. And right now, he's in a state where you're not going to be good enough now to lead your team to big-time success. You're not going to probably lead your team to a World Series. I can compare the Yankees to the Spurs, the San Antonio Spurs. Their stars are a bunch of old guys. Their up and coming guys are young. It's pretty much simple as that. Tim Duncan, Alex Rodriguez, Tony Parker, Derek Jeter, Manu Ginobili, Alfonso Soriano. I don't know why the Yankees even got Alfonso. Sure, he's still good throughout his age, but Alfonso should have stayed in Chicago, mainly because Chicago could possibly do something in a couple of years. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, really. It's Yankees are in 4th place, and they keep on sliding. They've lost 3 in a row. They've lost the first 2 games of the 3-game series against the White Sox. And the White Sox, if I'm looking at my standings presented by Spreaker.com through the standings lookout, the Chicago White Sox are 42-69, 24 games behind the Detroit Tigers. They are 2-8 in the last 10, mainly because they lost 10 in a row. Then they won 2 games against the Yankees. An update in that score as of right now, Yankees 4-3. Update for you guys. Chicago scored 2 runs in the 7th inning to make the game 4-3. Soriano, his second home run as a Yankee. Eduardo Nunez hit his first home run of the year, finally. And then Gordon Beckham hit his 3rd home run of the year. I feel bad for the Yankees. They just cannot win. They have inconsistent pitching. I'm glad that CC Sabathia is doing okay today. He was doing great through the first 6 innings. It was, 1 run, 2 hits in 6 innings for CC Sabathia, who's had the worst year in his career, I think. If you're putting high expectations for him, he's having one of the worst years of his career. You can't count his early days in Cleveland. Like, the last couple of years in Cleveland, his days in Milwaukee and his days in New York, count them. Worst years of his career. He has never won 20 games in a year. He's gone 19 wins last few years. That's it. 19 wins. He cannot get over 20. That's why, if he won a couple more games, he could possibly beat out Justin Verlander for one of those Cy Youngs. I don't know. I'm going to give you an update. I've been talking about this lately. The Miguel Cabrera injury to his hip, mainly to his hip, that's been bugging him since the end of the All-Star break. He has 33rd home run of the year, and that game at Progressive Field is still tied at 4-4. As in free ball, it's in the bottom of the 10th. Free ball is extra innings, in other words. Let's go to one more piece of news before we'll go to a music break. Corey Kluber out at least a month, and the Indians will chase the Tigers in wildcard without Corey Kluber. The starter will be sidelined at least for at least 1 month or maybe even longer with a sprained right middle finger, the same injury that sidelined teammate Zach McAllister for nearly 2 months early in this season. Kluber injured his finger while throwing a breaking ball in the 8th inning on Monday night when he shut out the first-place Tigers for 7 1/3 innings of the series before closer and pothead Chris Perez blew it in the 9th inning, and the Indians would lose 4-2. The team said in an MRI, the MRI confirmed the diagnosis of a sprain, an injury the Indians have become very familiar with in recent years. Along with McAllister, former Indians Adam Miller and Alex White were also laid up by sprained middle fingers. The Indians said Kluber could miss as much as 6 weeks, a major blow to their playoff chances. He was placed on the 15-day disabled list before Tuesday's game against the Tigers. The right-hander has been one of Cleveland's most consistent pitchers. He is 7-5 this year with a 3.54 ERA in 19 starts, and he'll begin a throwing program as soon as he is symptom-free. Teammates in the Indians clubhouse are feeling bad for him, just like fellow starter Justin Masterson. This is what Masterson had to say after Tuesday's game. Quote, "Our hope is that it won't be as bad as McAllister's was. He was out for quite some time. Hopefully it can be one of those where we can take a few weeks, get him back on track, and have him because he'll be a big part as we continue on, end quote. With Clubber out, rookie Danny Salazar will have a shot to stay in the rotation. He's making his second career start on Wednesday against the Tigers, who've won 10 straight to open a 5-game lead over the Cleveland Indians. Terry Francona, the manager of the Tribe, would not commit to anything beyond Wednesday's game. Let's go to a music break. Remember, guys, comments and questions will be respected and accepted, and I'll bring them up during the show. This is the last edition of Steven's All Out Baseball Show before the beginning of the playoffs, because I'll be taking a necessary period of time off. And, let's go to commercial break. Let's go to some Uprising. Uprising by Muse. You're listening to Spreaker.com here on the National Sports Radio Station, Steven's All Out Baseball Show. I'll be back in 1 minute.
Your presentation of national sports is brought to you by Spreaker.com. Broadcast and listen to news, radio, and music with one low monthly rate. Your show will be right back after this word from your local stations.
A package like to keep us trapped in greed. A green belts wrapped around our minds, an endless red tape to keep the truth confined. They will not force us, and they will stop degrading us. They will not control us. We will be victorious.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Steven's All Out Baseball Show here on Spreaker.com in affiliation with the National Sports Radio Station. Let's go to Motown in Detroit, where Tigers manager Jim Leyland finally commented on shortstop Johnny Peralta's 50-game suspension, and in true Leyland fashion, his remarks were to the point. This is what he had to say before Detroit's game against Cleveland on Tuesday night, just last night. And quote, I'll say we will miss Johnny Peralta, and that's the end of it. I'm not going to discuss it any further. I do owe you that comment, I think. End quote. Shortly after Peralta was banned 50 games by Major League Baseball for his involvement in the Biogen scandal on Monday, Leyland told reporters to leave his office after he was asked to comment on Peralta's suspension. GM for the Tigers, Dave Dombrowski, has told media members that he will be the team's lone spokesman on the matter. Leyland said he wasn't uncomfortable addressing Peralta's complex situation. The two-time All-Star was one of the 13 players, along with Nelson Cruz of the Texas Rangers and Eric Cabrera of the San Diego Padres, to be disciplined by baseball's most sweeping punishment in nearly a century. Leyland said, this is what Leyland said before batting practice yesterday as well. Quote, I was not going to make comments on stuff. You're talking about legal issues and everything else. That's silly for somebody like me to make comments about that, to be making comments about that. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get trapped into that. End quote. Leyland felt it was best to leave the Tigers' comments on the matter to Dombrowski, who spent 10 minutes addressing the situation in Detroit's dugout before Monday's series opener. Leyland thought it was disrespectful that he was asked by Peralta after media members were informed he will only talk about on-field issues. Leland is confident that his Tigers, who've won 10 straight and have a 5-game lead over second-place Cleveland entering Wednesday's game, will remain driven and won't be distracted by Peralta's absence. And like I've said this earlier, but Peralta is one of the two guys like Nelson Cruz of Rangers who probably is going to be missed deeply because they're such an offensive impact to their respective teams in their playoff push. If it's for the Tigers getting the AL Central or possibly a wild card spot, and if it's the Rangers trying to get the AL West. I feel bad for the Tigers and the Rangers because their only opportunity, in my opinion, to get to the playoffs will be by winning their division, because the two wild cards in the American League will be locked up by an AL East team. It's going to be the Rays and it's going to be the Orioles that are going to be the lockups for the wild cards. So whoever wants to make it to the playoffs in the other two divisions, like the Tigers, the Indians, and the Royals in the AL Central, and the A's and the Rangers in the AL West, you guys just get started on trying to clinch your respective divisions, because that's the only way you're making it to the playoffs. I can't see the Orioles or the Rays fall off and have another team possibly, make it to the playoffs out of a wild card from a different division. Two spots are going to be locked up. The two wildcard spots in the American League are going to be locked up by the American League East. I don't think it's going to be the Rays and the Orioles because the Red Sox, they're too damn good to, fall off the map already and, disappoint. They have 69 wins this year. I'm talking about the Red Sox. They have 69 wins in the year. And they have like 46 games to go. You know how many wins they had last year? In 161 games. They had 68. 68 wins the entire last year. They have another 46 games to go. And they're amazing. They have 69 wins. I'm very happy for the Red Sox. I was disappointed that Bobby Valentine made a media circus over there in Boston when, that was all happening. But, going back to my point in, the Rangers and the Tigers, their problems with losing one of their good players, especially for the Rangers, losing Nelson Cruz is going to be humongous. I feel like for the Rangers, they're out of the playoffs now. They're out of the playoff hunt because of that. They cannot rely all on Adrian Beltre to step it up, like to a whole different level, a whole new universe, in my opinion. If you still have Josh Hamilton, you're on a tight rope, but I feel like you'll still make it. But that's not the case anymore. Let's go to one more piece of news from Motown. The Tigers unconditionally released Jose Valverde on Wednesday, ending the former closer's second stint with the organization. Valverde saved 110 games for the Detroit from 2010 to 2012, but he was not tendered a contract following last season, during which he struggled mightily during the American League Division Series. He eventually re-signed with the club as a free agent on April 4th and debuted later that month as the Tigers struggled to find an answer in the ninth inning. In 20 appearances, the 35-year-old posted a 5.59 ERA over 19 and a third innings while going 9 for 12 in save opportunities. A couple of days after Valverde surrendered 4 runs in one inning on June 19th, the Tigers designated him for assignment and later sent him outright to AAA Toledo. In 11 innings there, he gave up 5 runs on 14 hits with 6 walks and 10 strikeouts. Valverde also picked up 7 saves, including one in his final game on Tuesday. Over 11 Major League seasons, Valverde owns a 3.19 ERA and has compiled 286 saves. Let's go to the news in Brooklyn, where swastikas and slurs were found on the Robinson statue. Employees of the Class A Brooklyn Cyclones, a New York Mets affiliate, arrived at work Wednesday morning to find a swastika and racial and anti-Semitic epithets painted on a statue of Jackie Robinson and Pee Wee Reese that is on display outside MCU Park. The statue shows Reese with his arm around Robinson and commemorates the moment at Cincinnati's Crossley Field when Reese, playing before his family, showed his solidarity with Robinson amid ugly backlash about the integration of Major League Baseball. The moment was recreated in the recent movie 42. The NYCPD, the New York State Police Department, is investigating the incident at the Coney Island ballpark. There is video surveillance outside the ballpark, a Clones spokesman said. So that's at least good news. That's a step forward to find who did this. Detective John Navando of the 60th Precinct said in a statement, "This is being treated as a biased crime. Hate crimes will investigate the incident," end quote. Team employees successfully removed the graffiti from the metallic statue before, but were having difficulty eradicating it from the stone base. They have covered up what could not have been removed, so fans were not subjected to seeing the epithets upon arriving for a day game between the Brooklyn Cyclones and Connecticut Tigers. The New York City Parks Department, which is charged for maintaining the statue, has dispatched help to treat the statue's base. But you can actually Google image this. Pardon me. Statue of Jackie Robinson and Pee Wee Reese, Brooklyn. It's a very nice statue. It's right outside the Brooklyn Cyclone ballpark. You can see in the background in the picture I'm seeing of the statue, the famous Cyclone, amusement, it's not a roller coaster. I know that it's like a ride, an amusement ride. There we go. In the background, and I think it resembles a lot. And I think it says a lot, and it's very disappointing that was the case. It's just an iconic statue over there. It's just tarnished forever. Not forever, but for that period of time. So whoever did this, shame on you for disrespecting the history and the brave history of baseball. The Los Angeles Angels second baseman Howie Kendrick's sprained left knee will be reevaluated at the end of the week. The Angels announced Tuesday that they wouldn't immediately put Kendrick on the DL, but they'll recall newly acquired infielder Grant Green from AAA Salt Lake to fill in. Green was in LA's starting lineup Tuesday night against the Rangers, batting eighth and playing second base. The Angels at that time optioned right-hander Daniel Stange to Salt Lake. The Angels acquired Grant Green from the Oakland A's last week in a trade for starting third baseman Alberto Callaspo. Green, who made his MLB debut with the A's last month, went 8 for 24 in 3 games with Salt Lake. Green is an Anaheim native who played 3 seasons at USC. He immediately became one of the top prospects in the Angels' depleted farm system. Kendrick was injured during the 5th inning of the Angels' 5-2 loss to Texas on Monday night when he landed awkwardly on his left leg while sprinting to catch a tailing pop-up by Elvis Andrus. Kendrick got hurt when he attempted to avoid sliding right fielder Colin Cowgill coming toward him. An MRI exam Tuesday revealed Kendrick hadn't done more serious damage to his knee. Kendrick is in the midst of a strong season for the Angels, who appear all but certain to miss the playoffs for the 4th straight year. His 126 hits are second most in the major leagues among second basemen, behind Dustin Pedroia, and he had a 9-game hitting streak before going 0 for 2 on Monday. The Angels also announced left-hander John Burnett will have surgery Wednesday on a torn flexor tendon in his left elbow. Burnett, who had already been ruled out for the season, appeared in just 13 games for the Angels, joining Ryan Madson as a hugely disappointing free agent signing meant to patch Los Angeles' porous bullpen. Burnett had ligament replacement surgery in 2005. He signed a 2-year deal with the Angels last winter after 3.5 seasons with the Washington Nationals. And one more piece of news before I go to another music break. There's a lawsuit. What the hell? Another one. What a coincidence by Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball volunteers not legal in the lawsuit. Filed Wednesday on behalf of a volunteer at last month's 2013 All-Star Fan Fest, claims Major League Baseball violated federal and state minimum wage laws by failing to pay more than 2,000 volunteers. The lawsuit in Manhattan federal court was brought in the name of John Chen and seeks class action status. It is asked for lost wages and urges the judge to order the league to stop soliciting and accepting work from unpaid volunteers. Matt Bourne, an MLB spokesman, said the league hadn't received a copy of the lawsuit yet and doesn't comment on pending legislation. According to the lawsuit, federal and state minimum wage laws were violated when the league recruited volunteers to operate 40 attractions from July 12th to July 16th at an event advertised as the largest interactive baseball theme park in the world and baseball heaven on earth. Volunteers to the festival, which charged adult attendees at $35 and children 2 and older at $30, were given a shirt, a cap, a drawstring backpack, free admission for the volunteer, and one gift along with a water bottle and a baseball, the lawsuit said. It added that paying customers could buy a small bag of potato chips for $5 and a cup of lemonade for $7.50 once they entered the convention center where it was held. The volunteers did not receive All-Star Game admission, but were given the chance to win one pair of tickets if they worked 3 shifts at any of the All-Star events, the lawsuit said. It added that all of baseball's unpaid volunteers from 2008 this year were required to pass background checks and attend a mandatory orientation. The lawsuit noted that Major League Baseball boasted that the 2013 All-Star Game and related events, including FanFest, had generated about $191.5 million for the New York City economy. John Chen volunteered for 5 days, joining others who assisted with hospitality, logistics, and transportation, among other tasks, his lawyer says. They said the league has already invited this year's volunteers to work for free at the 2014 All-Star Game in Minneapolis. Let's go to another music break. When I come back, the standings lookout. Outlook, lookout, you can say whatever. And I'll give you some score updates, and I'll try to get some guys from the National Sports Radio Station on the show, and they can talk about what's up and what's down in Major League Baseball. We'll come back with more Stevens Hall Baseball Show here on Spreaker.com in affiliation with the National Sports Radio Station.
Take its toll. If you could, I flick a switch and open your third eye. You'd see that we should never be afraid to die. Rise up and take the power back. It's time the fat cats had a heart attack. You know that their time's coming to an end. We have to unify and watch our flag ascend.
Your presentation of national sports is brought to you by Spreaker.com. Broadcast and listen to news, radio, and music with one low monthly rate. Your show will be right back after this word from your local stations.
Welcome back to Siemens All Out Baseball Show here on Spreaker.com in affiliation with the National Sports Radio Station. Before I continue with my final show this summer, I'd like to thank National Sports' own Nick Rice for doing all the commercial breaks that Spreaker.com does not give to us anymore. But Nick Rice gladly and voluntarily decided to create some, and I'd like to thank him very much. A shout out to him over there in Southern California for his efforts on getting that done. Let's go to some more news now in Major League Baseball. Remember what happened with Bryce Harper first hitting the home run and then getting hit by a pitch? Well, the Braves GM, Frank Warren, says a tweet from the team directed at Bryce Harper was an inappropriate attempt at humor. The Braves' official Twitter account posted a clown move, bro, after the Washington Nationals slugger was angered over being drilled in the leg by Julio Teheran on Tuesday. It was a reference to Harper's famous retort to a reporter, "That's a clown question, bro." Harper had homered in his previous at-bat after he was hit. Both benches and bullpens emptied, but no punches were thrown. The Nationals answered the Braves' tweet with one of their own. "Which part? Giving up the home run or drilling the 20-year-old who on the first pitch is next time up?" Question mark, end quote. As if the Nationals might retaliate in Wednesday's game, manager Davey Johnson said, "It's just baseball as usual," that end quote. Then he paused and smiled. So I like to continue on that. I can see why the Nationals will get mad. Mainly because the Nationals are one of the 4 teams in the National League East that are below 500. But in their instance, they're in second place, behind the Braves, who are dominating the National League East. It is not even close. It is not even fair. The Braves have a 14.5 game lead, and the Braves just won. They just won also. The Braves have won 12 in a row. The Braves have won 12 in a row. They are on fire. No one's going to stop them. Ever. No one's going to stop them, it seems like. They're undefeated. They're unstoppable at home. They're 38-15 at home. 38-15 at home. 38-15. That's ridiculous. 23 games above 500 at home. That gets you wins, especially winning on the road. Also, you're 31-30 on the road, and if that's the case, if you're great at home and you're just on the borderline around 500 on the road, hey, you can win the division all you want. The Braves are the best, or the second best team in the whole National League. The season ended today. Pirates will just barely squeak it out as the champ, as the NL's number 1 seed. The Braves, number 2, and then number 3 goes to the Dodgers. But anyway, it's, in my opinion, Braves are unstoppable. I feel like if you guys have any comments or questions to say about the Braves or any other team, just put in the chat box. It's very, 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 very easy to say that the Nationals are out of the playoffs, and it's very, very easy to say that the Braves will be the lone representative from the National League East to be in the playoffs. You really think the Mets are going to make it? You really feel like the Phillies, who are 10 games below 500 and are struggling with injuries again and inconsistency, could just pop out of nowhere? It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. Just can't see it. Let's go to Hollywood in Dodgerland, where Dodgers shortstop Hanley Ramirez couldn't pitch hit this week and will likely avoid a trip to the DL, Dodgers manager Don Mattingly said on Wednesday. Ramirez has been sidelined since jamming his right shoulder while tumbling into the stands after a catch on Sunday. This is what Mattingly said. Quote, "He looks good. Talking to the medical department, Hanley just keeps advancing. He's moving around today even better than yesterday. I would think if this keeps going like this, he'll try to hit a ball off a tee or something today. He'll try to do some baseball stuff today. How far that goes, we don't know. Hanley just keeps getting better. We're feeling a lot more confident that he's not going to be a DL. It's not going to be a DL, to say the least type of thing. We're hoping sooner than later." When asked if Ramirez would be available Wednesday or Thursday against the Cardinals, Mattingly wouldn't rule him out. He's probably not. He'd be doubtful on the NFL scale today, but you never know what happens, end quote. Mattingly seemed more optimistic about the chances Ramirez will be able to pinch hit against the Rays when the Dodgers return home on Friday. You can watch the Rays and the Dodgers battle it out at Chavez Ravine on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific time. The Dodgers got some more good news on the injury front Wednesday as Matt Kemp, who has been on the DL with a left ankle sprain since July 22nd, took part in BP for the first time and was throwing and catching the outfield. Kemp, who is wearing an ankle brace, is still unable to run and doesn't know when he will be able to. But Dodgers GM Ned Colletti had hinted last week that Kemp might not be back in the lineup until September, but Kemp said Wednesday that he would be back at some point this month. Kemp said this, quote, "People keep saying September, but no one knows anything. I don't know where they got September from. My body will tell me when I'm ready to play. It might be a week, it might be 2 weeks, but it's not going to be September." End quote. Let's go to the standings lookout presented by Spreaker.com. Again, guys, comments and questions for whoever is listening, and thank you guys for letting me be a part of your day here on the National Sports Radio Station. Guys, you can just questions and or comments are accepted and respected, and you guys can also call in. The number is 650-315-6543. And let's go to the American League East. The Boston Red Sox, 69-46 in first place in the American League East. After that, it goes to Tampa Bay Rays, 66-46, a game and a half behind the Sox. The Orioles are in third place, 62-51, 6 back of the Sox, 4.5 back of the Rays. And after that, here's the Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, who've lost 3 in a row, 3-7 in the last 10. They're 57-55, 10.5 back. And then the Blue Jays, 53-60, 15 back of the Sox. They are still the lone team below 500 in the AL East. To the AL Central we go. And the Motown team is still in first place, 66-45, and 66-45 on the year. They're 5 games ahead of Cleveland, but, well, let's go to our update first. I want to mention that. The Tigers and the Indians are playing in 3-game series. And, actually, let's go to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll bring up more stuff about baseball. And I'll bring up, once again, the standings lookout as we're getting some calls in, and I'm going to moderate it.